Let's make some noise. Come on.
All right. Indeedy, Nick Foles. What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to our final episode of our broadcast week here on the Final Word on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, which, boy, MattyB on the call. We've reached another week, or we reached the end of another week. And it's Thursday night. It's the weekend, or it's not the weekend, but we're getting ready for the weekend. Always funner on this side of the week than the other side. I remember, of course, that's one of the first life lessons that I learned as a young man. It's always better on Thursday night than it is on Sunday night. And here we are on Thursday night as we reach the end of another broadcast week. And tonight, going to be a little bit of a rapid fire final word. I am up against tonight the Clear the Ice program, which will be on here immediately following the Flyers game. A little update on that. The Flyers are trailing 2-1 to the St. Louis Blues in the third period as, once again, the offense seems to be operating on maybe the Eagles' wavelength. Maybe Kevin Padul was also helping out the Flyers with their offensive game plan. It's just really offense sustained-wise is far in between from the Flyers. Dan Vladar gives up those two real shaky goals in the beginning of the game, but he sort of kind of clamped it down, but still. There are two goals that you'd like to have back. And at this level with this offense, you can't give up those gimme goals, man. I'm sorry. You just can't. And Dan Vladar continues to do that for the Flyers. And he's not alone. He's just the one that's up at the in the net tonight. So Mike Lauro will be coming at you immediately following this hockey game, and I will be clearing the airwaves for him. So we're going to do a bare bones version of this show tonight. There's Mike going to be doing some Clear the Ice, and then I got you Saturday. But we're going to do our day in Philadelphia sports history. We're not going to do our card review, and we're not doing the of the night segment, as we're going to cut those out in order to save some time. But we are going to get into the Eagles Cowboys. We set the table earlier today on the program or on the network with the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn. We're going to continue to sort of get you ready for that game. We might talk a little bit of baseball as, once again, no news is good news. The Phillies did sign somebody, I think, yesterday. I saw some low-level dude. Let me see. I mean, the Phillies have made a signing, and they signed Brian Dela Cruz this year. It's not like they haven't made any signings, but nothing to note. But maybe if we have time, we'll get into some hot stove. It's not really top of my list, as there's not much really to go over. But the Phillies did make a low-level signing yesterday or the day before. And they brought in somebody, but again, I'm not even saying it's not official here, but perhaps we'll talk hot stove. I don't know, but we're going to do a real fast and furious episode of the Final Word to get you ready for Clear the Ice. So let's not waste any more of my time and yours, more importantly, yours. So let's strap in, strap on, strap up, keep your head, hands, and feet inside the car for your day in Philadelphia sports history. On this day, November the 20th, 1960, perhaps the greatest tackle, hit, takeout, blow up, explosion, catastrophe occurred in the National Football League, and it was delivered by one Chuck Bednarik to one Frank Gifford of the New York Giants. You all remember the play. I wasn't there for it, against popular belief, but you remember it.
Clock is running down. It's about a minute and a half to play in the game. Gifford swings out of the backfield, comes down the field, across, down and in. They're dangerous. That's like a Volkswagen going down a one-way street, and a Mack truck is coming the opposite way. When the ball flew in the air, Chuck Weber fell on it. I had no idea where Frank Gifford was, and then when I saw him recover the ball and I turned around, and then simultaneously I was with a gesture like this, standing over him, and I said these exact words: "This effing game is over." And it would appear by the picture that I'm gloating over him. I wasn't gloating over him. I had no idea that he was there.
He just leveled Frank. I mean, Frank was level and knocked him cold, of course. And Frank missed a whole year of football the following season. That's how hard he got hit. I thought Bednarik killed him.
They carried Frank off the field on a stretcher, and unknown to us, some fan that day had had a heart attack in the stands. The man had unfortunately died in our locker room, and they were taking him out with the sheet over his face just as we started to walk in, and we all thought that Bednarik had killed Gifford.
In a scheduling oddity, the Eagles played the Giants again the next week at home, and again won on a fourth-quarter comeback.
Makes the catch, and the Rapid rookie rockets for the goal line to complete a 51-yard scoring play.
By beating the Cardinals the next week, the Eagles clinched their first Eastern Conference title since.
You go. The most vicious hit in NFL history was delivered this day in 1960 by Chuck Bednarik to Frank Gifford of the Giants, winning the game. This effing game is over. And the Eagles won the game and knocked out Gifford for the remaining part of that season and all of 1961. He returned in 62, but of course was not anywhere near the type of player he was before the hit. And of course, listening to all the commentary there between some of the former teammates of Gifford, listening to Chuck Bednarik, listening to Harry Callis. Good God, man, that was an awesome little bit there. You would have thought everybody on the field thought Frank Gifford was dead. Man, I miss that stuff. Football is a violent game played by violent people. And all these regulations and all this, all the penalties and all this stuff that they do these days. Really, Chuck Bednarik is no longer with us, passed on. I'm sure he's rolling around in his grave every time, a quarterback gets or a defender gets flagged for 15 yards for following up a tackle on a quarterback. It really takes you back and really makes you think and realize how much this game has changed for the worst. Yeah, I'm sorry. For the worst. I don't advocate injury. I don't advocate concussions. I don't do that. I'm not in support of any of that stuff. But you know what? You're playing football. You're not needle pointing out there. All right? If you don't want to get a concussion, don't play a game or do a job that requires potential concussions. I'm sorry, man. It's as simple as that. It's this world of you can have your cake and eat it too that we live in. That's ruined football. And again, growing up as a young man, the Bednarik hit on Frank Gifford was required reading. It required watching. We have about it. So I'm sorry, man. Beautiful hit. This day and age, Bednarik would have been suspended for about 20 games and fined $1 billion. But thank God, football, at least at one time, was pure. So there you have it. Your day in Philadelphia sports history. The Frank Gifford, or I say the Chuck Bednarik Frank Gifford hit. And boom, boom. There you are. Your day in Philadelphia sports history. Barbara checking in. Barbara, how are you doing? Good to hear from you again. Barbara says, damn, I'll be watching the football game. Well, I'm sorry, Barbara. I am really sorry that we missed each other again. We'll catch up one of these days. I know we will. Hey, MattyB. Joe Hale, what's up? What's up? Can I open up? Yes, the phone lines will open on Sunday night. I promise, Joe. Again, tonight I'm going to be a little bit up against it. I will be going off the air immediately following the Flyers game so that Mike can get his full quarter's worth doing the Clear the Ice program. Again, 2-1 right now. Flyers trail into the third period and another offensive anemic night. Perhaps Kevin Padula is now running the Flyers offense. I don't know, man. There might be a big conspiracy theory about that, but Flyers down 2-1 about halfway into the third period. So we'll keep you updated on that. And then I think Mike will probably show up prior to him coming on the air. Maybe we'll do a little crossover action tonight. Maybe we won't. I don't know. We'll see. But tonight, let's continue the conversation so eloquently begun earlier tonight on the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn. We are going to focus now on the actual football game. We're going to talk about what might happen on Sunday versus what could happen in the locker room on Sunday, or what's going to happen after the game Sunday night when we start talking drama again, which will undoubtedly start Sunday night. But for at least for a couple more days as we lead up to this game, it's about the football game. And it is a key game. It really is. And I know I personally, and I'm going to tell you from the bottom of my heart, I'm taking this game for granted. I assume, partly for my hate and disdain for the Cowboys, and partly for the fact that I just believe even with the Eagles offense operating the way it is, they'll win this game handily on Sunday. Now, I forget that back in week 1, which was about 1 million years ago, it really came down to a CeeDee Lamb dropsy game where he dropped like 4 or 5 passes and the Miles Sanders fumble in the fourth quarter that really tilted the balance towards the Eagles in that game. But it's hard for me to justify or to compare week 1 to week 11. It's really going to be tough, or week 12, I guess it is now. It's hard for me to do that. So I'm not going to sit back and rest on the laurels of week 1. I can't. But what I can do is try to prepare myself for what's going to happen on Sunday afternoon in Dallas. And what I believe is going to happen is essentially what has happened up to this point offensively for this football team. I don't see them breaking out of their shell. I don't see all of a sudden a creative offense sprouting out of the ashes of what this is. And I see a defense that may be a little bit more challenged because of the mobility, and it's not much more than Jared Goff of Dak Prescott, but it is more. So there's going to be potential hazard there, as well as I think a better wide receiver duo in Pickens and Lamb. So I think the Eagles will move the football offensively against against the Dallas Cowboys. But I also think Dallas might move the football against the Eagles. Now, I do believe after it's all said and done with, the Eagles will find a way to win. And I think it's going to be one of those games that kind of seems like it's going back and forth, but at the end of the day, the Eagles will probably pull away into the second half on their way to a 31-17 victory like I predicted earlier on the Birds Blast. But if it does not happen, and if it is the T word of trap, which Kyle alluded to, I don't think this is the trap game. I think next Friday is the trap game. If that happens, and it is a trap game, I would not be surprised at all if the Eagles walked off the field on Sunday night with a loss. And honestly, it would fit the narrative that I've been driving all season, which is the 2023 collapse revisited. Now, if they do lose this football game, obviously it's going to be all hands on deck when it comes to the drama. And if they lose this game by the recipe that we kind of think it's going to happen, if they lose, no offense, and maybe the defense is just not that good against Dak, it's going to be all hands on deck against the drama. And especially with a short week, only a, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3-day, 4-day week. And then they'll have to get it going on Friday against the Bears in the game that I think is the trap game. I honestly, going into I have more confidence in the Eagles beating the Bears, or I should say the Cowboys, than I do in them beating the Bears. The Bears, to me, until proven otherwise, are like the Packers. You know, they got a gimmicky quarterback right now in Caleb Williams, who's having a great season. The team has definitely turned its corner, but are they a legit threat to the Eagles and anybody else that sits a high top the NFC? I don't know. I don't think they are. And I think it's going to be a replication of what we've seen all season long from some of these teams, with maybe the exception of the Broncos, that have tried to come in here and knock the Eagles off. The Bears are going to have to play a completely perfect game to beat the Eagles. And can they do that without maybe some kind of pressing and maybe forcing some issues? But that's a conversation more for later in the week. Back to the Cowboys. It's a very meaningful game for the Dallas. It's more meaningful than Dallas than it is the Eagles. So I guess that's where the trap thing kind of comes into. With the win, Dallas would keep alive its hopes of winning the NFC East. It would also keep alive its hopes of making the playoffs. With a Cowboy loss, it's all about done for in the NFC East. The Eagles will probably end up wrapping up the division next week or against the Bears on Friday. And it also hurts the Cowboys immensely in their playoff chances. So going into the game on paper, the Cowboys have more to lose here than the Eagles do. Eagles have a loss, but that would be just their third loss. They got a couple cushion losses there that they could probably give up. Now, of course, here in this town, a loss is going to be magnified completely out of proportion, which it should be, because I'm going to give you a sneak preview of all of next week's shows. If they lose to the Cowboys, it'll be, are we now witnessing the collapse? So definitely the Cowboys have more to lose in this game than the Eagles do. And I think, again, but when you boil it down, I just look at these teams back and forth. I look at the offense of the Eagles, and I look at the offense of the Cowboys. Would I give the upper hand to the Cowboys right now? No, I wouldn't. Honestly, I don't give the Cowboys an upper hand on the offensive coin. The Eagles are more are more explosive. They really are. And even on their bad games, which we've seen a lot of, they find a way to score points. Defensively, again, is where this game is going to come down to for the Eagles. If the Eagles can contain Dak, contain CD, and contain Pickens, is it Overshown back in this game too, I think? That adds another level. But they can contain the passing game. I'm not really concerned about Overshown in the run game. I'm really not. But they can contain the passing game and force one or two turnovers along the way. We're in business. And that's probably going to be enough for the Eagle offense in this game and also for the Eagle defense. I said Chicago's going to have to play a perfect game against the Eagles. Dallas is going to have to play almost a perfect game. They cannot cough the ball up. They also got to be smart about how they're going after points. When they get in those fourth and short situations, you really got to be careful about what you're going to do. Now, they may have something working in their favor, which is the refs. They're starting to call those false start penalties on the tush push. So multiple layers, multiple levels to this football game on Sunday. I think it's going to be not as close as what a lot of other people are thinking it's going to be. I honestly think the Eagles will win this game kind of going away. I say 31-17, but I won't be surprised if they lose it either. Honestly, I won't, because that's just how the season has kind of gone for us. But Kyle brought up a very good point in the show. It's this, they just find ways to win thing, and I don't deny that. I don't, but we've been living on the edge of that. Now, finding a way to win 51-25 is different than finding a way to win 17-9 or 16-9. It's different. There's a different vibe to that. Going out and not necessarily throwing again, and maybe I should have used 50 points as my example, but going out and dominating and taking the play and driving the play for 4 quarters is different than what they're doing now. The Eagles are living on a thin line between winning and losing. And right now, so far, it has worked out for them. But yet again, with recent history as the guide, we've seen it all come apart at the very weirdest times against the weirdest teams. So there's nothing given by the Eagles, or there's nothing given to the Eagles in this. They're still going to have to go out and try to put together that elusive 4-quarter game that they really not have done, with maybe the exception of the second Giants game. But they really haven't done that consistently at all this season. And there's no indication whether or not they're going to do it on Sunday. So, but I like to say that I can gauge the fact that if they don't put together a 4-quarter game, they're going to lose. I can't say that because they haven't done that really at all this season, with the exception of the Giants game. And yet they're 8-2. So a lot of things working against the Cowboys and not much working against the Eagles on this. And then as Dave Yarnold brought up also in the Birds Blast, he's going to bring up the script situation where the NHL is, can't have the Eagles run away with the NFC East. You got to pull them back down a little bit so that the Cowboys can make this thing more of a competition. We'll see how that kind of falls in. And if that is the case, and there's some questionable calls, I don't want to hear not one Eagle fan say a damn word, all right, based on what's happened over the last 2 weeks with the officials and the Eagles. I don't want to hear nothing from them. But we'll get to that point, of course, when we get there. But the Eagles on Sunday at 4:30 in Dallas, big time game. Is there a Birds Blast on Tuesday? Yes. No, Wednesday. We're going to do the Birds Blast on Wednesday. Time to be determined. I think I put it into the system as a 7 o'clock game, but or 7 o'clock show. That's not going to be probably not at 7, probably earlier than that. There will be a Birds Blast on Wednesday, just so you know. And we've made a few other scheduling changes that I'll get to a little bit later on in the week. I don't want to, we still got some stuff to do this week, so I'm going to get to those scheduling changes a little bit later in the week. The new schedule will be coming out on social media on Monday morning. I already built it. I already know it. There's some shifting around of the Pittsburgh Sports Desk, the Gridiron Weekly Show. They're going to shift. I think Pittsburgh's Sports Desk going to Tuesday at 7. Gridiron's going to Friday at 8. Birds Blast will be on Wednesday to be determined. And we're going to run, of course, the Fighting's final 25 season review show on noon on Thanksgiving Day. So We actually got programming every day next week, which is really cool. And I know it's because of the holiday, but you know what? I'll take it. God damn it. But yes, to answer your question, Joe, it will air on Wednesday, not Tuesday. And Joe Hale's reporting that the Flyers have tied things up at 2. There you go. So I'm seeing here at 2-2 with about 3 minutes to go in the game. So maybe I'll have a little longer. Maybe we'll go a little longer tonight. Maybe I won't have Mike breathing down my neck right away. They are not, Ricky. We are not going to open the phone lines. I am doing a rapid fire program. I am going to come off the air immediately after the Flyers game so that Mike Lauer can get his full dollar's worth. So no phone lines tonight, but they will be back Sunday night because I'll be back Sunday. I think right now it's what? I think we're going to do shows all the way up through Wednesday next week. So there will be no final word on Thursday night, but we'll do shows all the way up through Wednesday. And then big post-game weekend next weekend. Penn State's going to wrap up their season next week against Rutgers. We're going to do some Friday. We got Eagles. We got Flyers. Saturday, we got Flyers next week. So enough to keep you guys going into the holiday weekend. And they keep us going here on the network on the holiday weekend. So Joe's saying about 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. Score is tied up at 2-2. Flyers and Blues at the arena. So let's continue on with this. Let's just get in as much as we can before I got to go. This is your schedule for the remaining part of this week, not next. This is our schedule that you've seen tonight. Mike Lauer follows me with the Flyers Blues postgame, and then nothing tomorrow. And then on Saturday, Penn State, Nebraska, Happy Valley Huddle, and me and the Devils on Saturday night. 9 o'clock, we got the Philly. We got Philly AM Sports will finally make their debut as they had to put it off for a week. So they'll be coming on at 9. That's 10 o'clock, not 9:30 for the Steel City Sunday pregame. And then postgame Steelers, Bears, Steel City postgame. And then postgame Eagles, Cowboys, the Birds flyby. And then me wrapping it all up Sunday night at 9 o'clock on the final word. So there's your schedule remains for the week. And can't wait for this, of course, next Thursday, Thanksgiving Day at noon. Just as you're settling in for the day of family fun with turkey and hors d'oeuvres and stuffing and mashed potatoes and all that stuff, we'll get you going with the 2025 Fighting's final season in review show. We're going to lay it down probably on Sunday or Monday. I haven't decided yet. We haven't really talked about it. So we're going to lay it down sometime over the next few days. And then we're going to air it on Sunday or Thursday at noon to kind of kick off your Thanksgiving. Somewhat symbolic, right? We're gonna say goodbye to the Phillies officially, and we're gonna say hello to Christmas as we'll wrap up. By the time Thanksgiving is over, we're already looking at Christmas. So that's how we're gonna roll here on the program or on the network next week. So make sure you're there. If you decide to comment along on this program or on the Fighting's Final, we will not obviously answer it live, but we will answer it in kind. I'll make sure I check and see what questions were asked, and maybe I'll do it. I'm not going to guarantee it. It's kind of counterproductive if you ask me. But yes, indeed, Ricky, let's go Flyers. Flyers, Blues, postgame immediately following this show tonight as we're rapid firing through the final word. Went over the Eagles, Cowboys, final preparations. Offensive line for the Eagles continues to be the walking wounded. Is A.J. Brown going to get his? Is Jalen Hurts going to get his? That's the main question. Above it all, as I said, man, above it all, it's about Jalen Hurts. And it's about his ability. And Kyle brought up a good point earlier tonight. With Kevin Padula being considered apparently on some list of top 10 NFL head coaching candidates for 2026, is the reasoning around that based purely on the fact that the Eagles are successful this year offensively because they're winning with Kevin Padula's ability to work with a limited quarterback? Is that what the NFL is seeing? That he is making lemonade out of lemons here? You know what I'm saying? He's doing what he can do. He's spit and duct taping together this Eagle offense with a limited quarterback and making them go 8-2 along the way? Is that what has propelled Kevin Padula onto the radar of GMs for potential head coaching jobs in 2026? Because if you ask me, there's no other way. Because if you go back in time, again, like Kyle said, Shane Steichen parlayed his ability to get the Eagle offense rolling under Jalen Hurts to a head coaching job. Kellen Moore, which I don't know if it was such a brain move. I mean, he went run heavy when the pass wasn't working, but it worked. Parlayed his ability to get to work with Jalen Hurts into a head coaching job. Why is it not beyond the shadow of a doubt or the shadow of reason that Kevin Padula was doing the same thing, making the Eagles win or putting them in a position to win every week offensively, working with a limited quarterback? And I think it's a very valid point that I have not explored yet, and I think deserves to be explored. Because what other reason would you think that he would deserve to be considered as a head coaching candidate? And I think it's a great question. And I think it's a great theory. And I got to give Kyle a lot of credit for bringing it up. Can we talk Flyers? Ricky, if you do, we can talk Flyers right now, or you can wait about, what are we at now? This getting down to the end of the third period. Flyers, Blues are tied at 2-2, and they're probably going to end up going into overtime. Or you can wait until the postgame. The postgame will follow me immediately after the Flyers game goes to 0-0. But yes, by all means, if you want to talk Flyers, brother, let's do it, man. Give me a question. Give me a topic. Give me a scenario. Give me a hypotenuse. Give me something, man. Let me wrap my legs around something, Ricky. Give it to me. A question, that is. All right. But the Kevin Padula considered for a head coaching phenomenon is an interesting theory that Kyle came up with. Is he being acknowledged by the NFL for making the Eagles offense go with a limited quarterback? Now, those are the Jalen Hurts apostles, the Jalen Hurts propagandists, the Jalen Hurts cult members, whatever they want to call each other or themselves, will tell you no. He's being considered because he's making the offense go with a broke down offensive line and a running back and a running game that's not working. It has nothing to do with making the offense go with a limited quarterback. But I tend to err on the side that he's making the offense go with a limited quarterback. It's no secret around the NFL. It isn't. The only people who value Jalen Hurts as high as we do is Jalen Hurts. There's nobody that values Jalen Hurts as high as Eagle fans do. There's just not anybody out there. It's not a thing that's common in this league. It's not. And it seems like on the inside circles of these teams and these GMs, they're watching what Kevin Padula is doing with the offense, and they're not necessarily bashing him. They're applauding him for making it work under these conditions. Why else would Kevin Padula be considered for a head coaching position in this league? Very interesting theory. And I got to give Kyle a lot of credit for bringing it to bear. Thoughts on Rodrigo Abelis, thoughts on his play. He's a tweener, man. He's a tweener. I mean, the goal was pretty. He filled that lane nicely. Flyers really sucked with the puck well. Got to give credit both to Zegras and what was that, Tippett on that play? Was Tippett the one who passed the puck back to Abus, who was standing right there in the doorstep? Yeah, I got to give him credit. Nose for the net. Love to see that. Absolutely love to see that. But again, Joe, we're discussing. I don't want to embarrass or disrespect Abus or Abelosa, however you say his damn name. I mean, he's not the future, right? He's not the high stock priority or high draft priority that we're trying to build this team around. He's one of the many faces of the tweeners, that group that comes and goes up and down all season long. A very needed position to be filled, a very needed skill group to have. Again, I'm not disrespecting him or those of his kind. I'm not. But to think there's any future there with him other than what he serves right now in terms of his role, no, it's not. And you could look at it from this side. What in the hell is going on with these prospects that we're continuously going back to these tweeners? Why can't we see somebody else in this role, like one of the younger players that we've been, waiting very patiently to see? Denver Barkey kind of comes to mind. Why isn't he up here, flashing some leather around or doing what he can do? Why isn't Oliver Bonk on defense, whatever, up here? But I get it. I understand what your point is here, and again, I don't disrespect the type of player he is, but I'm looking for more of the crop that we've cultivated over the last 3 years now to kind of step in to that role. Some of the high draft stock, some of those guys taken in the second or first through like the fourth round. That's what I really want to see. Seeing good play from Abul, seeing good play from Tony Dick, seeing good play from Hell's Grange or Hans Grange, whatever his name is, seeing good play from players like that, Generon, like we talked about last night. Yeah, it's good to see it. It's good to see the contributions from all over the system, but these are tweeners, man. These are guys that are up and down consistently through the lineup and, plug a hole where needed and fill a need where needed. And they're very versatile guys. But is this what we're building the future around? And I would like to see more of those players in those positions to do those types of things. So not going to bash the guy. It was a beautiful goal, a nose for the net. He drove the net there, which the Flyers very rarely do. Beautiful pass work by both Zegras and friggin' Tippett there. And it was just like just a really pretty play and a really pretty goal. So, yeah, I'll give it to him. Absolutely give it to him. I don't know. Is that what you're looking for? It was a roundabout way to get to that answer, man. Whew. All right, so yeah, we are now in overtime. It's 2-2 right now, Flyers and Blues, as they'll get ready to skate the extra 5 minutes, 3v3, the most exciting time of a hockey game. I say, honestly, do away with the shootout and just go 3v3. Let's call it, we can continue on with the 5-minute periods, but just play overtime until somebody wins. I think it's fun. If you want to kind of get it a little bit more competitive, maybe you break it down to a 4v4 and it kind of closes in some of the ice a little bit more. But the shootout to me is just really, there was a time in my life where I loved the shootout when I was a kid. I don't know if you guys remember this. This was probably, I know this is way before your time. I was probably about 8 or 9. But during Flyers home games, they would have this thing called the Pepsi Shootout, where they would put youth hockey players on the ice of the spectrum in between periods, and they would have them take breakaways against goalies, not NHL goalies, and these kids would do it for money. I mean, the days of the Pepsi Shootout, the days of the shootout, they were cool back when I was a kid, but hockey is really, what the heck is in my hair? Hockey is really kind of, what was that? Hockey's destroyed the shootout. It really has. It made it a really boring part of the game. But I'm more in favor of just extending overtime out until somebody wins. Yeah. Because if you tell them you're going to do that, if you tell a team you're playing 5-minute overtime periods until somebody wins, they're going to want to win. They're not going to want to stay out there for 4 or 5 overtimes. And I think it will make the game a lot more competitive. Again, going back to the Chuck Bednarik hit, because that's our day in Philadelphia sports history, when Chuck Bednarik laid out Frank Gifford and literally knocked him out for the remaining part of the 1960 season, all of the 61 season. And when he returned in 62, was just not the same player. Different era, stronger, tougher players, just like hockey. It's a different era. I get it. Softer players. You're afraid they're going to get hurt. You don't want to skate them to death. The hell with it, man. Let's go back. Let's turn the clock back, man. Let them play overtime until somebody wins. But of course, as it stands, it is just the one overtime into the shootout. So Flyers in overtime right now, about 1:20 left, as Joe Hale reports. Flyers still tied up at 2-2. Perhaps on our way to a shootout. I am not watching the game right now. I am tracking it on my phone. So we'll see. I won't see any kind of cool play if it happens. So someone else is going to have to be my commentary on this. But we will go. We'll cut out of here right after this game goes final in order to clear the ice so we can do some clear the ice. See, look at that, man. That is why they pay me the big money. And I got a final overtime. The Flyers Woo. Pull it out 3-2 in overtime. There you go. Come from a 2-goal deficit. Dan Vladar, as I mentioned, 2 real slip-shotty goals given up in the first period, but that's it. He gives up nothing else the rest of the way. The Flyers come back, tie it, and force overtime, and they just won it in overtime. 3-2 now, your final score, completing the season series with a sweep of the St. Louis Blues. Look at that, man. Gutsy win by the Flyers. Anemic ass offense. I have no idea who scored or what the goal details were, but don't worry. That's what Mike Laro is here to do. He's going to provide you those details. Now, we've done this before in overtime games where the Flyers just won, and I remember I was actually fell victim to that myself a couple times so far this season. Is anybody challenging anything? Are they looking at something? I'm not watching, so I don't know. Is anybody challenging this goal? Is it under question, under review? Or are we actually final? I say this because I've been burned twice already this year by reporting a win and then it getting overturned by review. Joe says Travis Sanheim with a great goal. All right, well, apparently it's not being challenged, so apparently this is an actual goal. Flyers win it 3-2 in overtime. So that means, folks, at around the 38-minute mark of this show, MattyB is going to sign off. I'm going to cut out of here. It's a clean goal. Good stuff. Flyers win. It's their 10th win this year. Is that what they're up to now? 10? They're up to 10 now. 3-2 over the Blues in overtime. Travis Sanheim with the overtime winner. And Flyers will be back in action on Saturday night against the Devils. I got you on the call for the post game on that one. So Mike Laro is going to come out here on the other side of this show, and he's going to bring you Clear the Ice. So let me just see. Is this their 10th win? Pulling up the big-time stat sheet here. Yeah, 10 wins now for the Flyers in 2025-26. So good stuff. Complete the series sweep or season sweep of the St. Louis Blues. Eagles Cowboys Thursday or Sunday. You got football tonight too. They got Eagles Cowboys on Sunday. Is it a trap game? I'd say no. I think Fridays is a trap game. I got the Eagles winning 31-17, but I would not be surprised if they lost this football game, and I would not be surprised if they won. Cowboys have a lot more on the line in this game than the Eagles do. The Cowboys are literally fighting for their lives. So can the Eagles withstand that? Can the Eagles stand up to that? I also mentioned on the Birds Blast, this could be hyped up as one of their many little Super Bowls of the season. This is a game Dallas needs. And what better of opponent than the Eagles? Also, the Eagles go into Dallas with the Kelly Greens, breaking some new ground on this one. We're going on the road with the Kelly Greens. So be prepared to see the Kelly Greens being donned at AT&T Stadium. So all that stuff's coming up this weekend. Don't forget, we also have Flyers this weekend. Penn State, Nebraska. The Steel City pre- and post-game show. The world premiere of the Philly AM Sports Show featuring Big Al and Mike Laro. All of that is happening this weekend. So we're just getting started on the network, guys. But thank you for a great week of the Final Word. We broke a lot of great ground on this show this week. Spread a lot of drama. Broke some hearts. Made some people cry. Made some people mad. Yeah, I made some people mad. And we'll do it all again on Sunday, as I'll be back on Sunday night to start your week off. Obviously, the top story will be the Eagles and see how they did against the Cowboys. So I'll get my shot Sunday night to give you the final word. So until we talk again on Sunday, guys, I want to wish you a very happy rest of your Thursday night and a happy weekend. Go out and enjoy yourselves. It's the weekend before it all begins. The holiday season will start next week. Yet another holiday season. We're coming around to another end of a year. Man, oh man, oh man. Tell your friends and your family when you're gathered at Thanksgiving this year, when you're with family and friends, take them over to the It's a Wrap Sports Network on YouTube, on Facebook, on X, and say, hey, give this guy a like, a subscribe, a share. Let's get our numbers growing over the holiday period. We've had some significant growth in 2025, but it can be better, and I need it to be better so I can continue to produce content, continue to bring people onto the air that can produce content as well. So help me out. Help me help you by spreading the word this holiday season. Wherever you go this holiday season, say, hey, have you heard about the It's a Wrap Sports Network and MattyB, Mr. Christmas, MattyB. So spread the word and help us out. Help us grow the network. So I will talk to you guys again on Sunday night. Stay tuned for the Clear the Ice Flyers post-game show with Mike Lauro. Until we see each other again on Sunday, take care.